afternoon. Thanks to everyone for attending today's public hearing. We have a variety of pieces of legislation. I want to start with the legislation related to business improvement districts, and want to say at the outset, I think this legislation that is going to be signed today will provide vital support to our business community in the neighborhood level. And the pieces of legislation related to the Green Code will help us to create a more sustainable and a positive environment for our city. Joined today by our Small Business Services Commissioner, Maria Torres Springer. Want to thank her for joining us. And want to say at the outset, the first three bills that we will discuss, the ones related to the business improvement districts, are sponsored by Councilmember Jalissa Ferreras. The bills amend district plans of three bids. The downtown Lower Manhattan bid, which is represented locally by Councilmember Chin, the Kings Highway bid, which is represented by Councilmember Deutsch, and the Church Avenue bid, represented by Councilmember Eugene. Now, bids, of course, are formed by volunteers who want to promote business development locally and want to improve the quality of life. I've been a longtime supporter of bids. We have 69 now in the city of New York. They provide, at the neighborhood level, maintenance, sanitation services, marketing and promotion of local businesses, holiday lighting, and beautification and landscaping. So all these services that help a business area to thrive and help the small businesses involved. The first bill, Intro 192, amends the downtown Lower Manhattan bid assessment to require that the commercial portion of a mixed-use property be assessed at the commercial rate rather than at the residential rate of $1. The change would affect approximately 87 tax lots. More than half will be assessed less than $1,000. Change would be effective immediately, would take effect immediately and be retroactive to January 1st, 2014. I'm glad to be joined by my former colleague, now the new president of the Downtown Alliance, Jessica Lappin. Thank you so much. There you are. I saw you. There you are. Welcome back, and thank you for your support. Intros 193 and 194 amend the district plan of the Kings Highway bid and the Church Avenue bid. They delete provisions requiring that bids maintain brick pavers along the sidewalk. In 2003, the city changed law to transfer responsibility for maintenance and repair of sidewalks from the city to property owners. As a result, property owners were paying double in liability insurance. First as property owners and second as bid members. In addition to this change, bids have proposed minor changes to replace certain maintenance programs with more robust supplemental sanitation, public safety, promotional services, and seasonal programming. I'd like to welcome the Kings Highway bid director, Phil Nuzzo. Are you here, Phil? There you go. And the Church Avenue bid director, Lauren Elvers Collins, who I know for a long time. There you are, Lauren. Good to see you. And also Leon Mann, the chair of the Church Avenue bid. All right, there we go. The gang's all here. And again, thank Commissioner Torres Springer and her staff who've done a great job on this legislation and working with the bids. And thank, of course, the City Council for adopting this vital legislation. So I'd like to first ask our Commissioner of SBS, Maria Torres Springer, to speak. You will definitely need the stool.
Yes, I will.
There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. Everyone gets it.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. I'm happy to be here today in celebration of the district plan amendments being signed for the Alliance for Downtown New York, the Church Avenue bid, and the Kings Highway bid. New York City is home to the largest bid network in the country with 69 bids. Bids come in many shapes and sizes representing businesses in central business districts like the Alliance for Downtown New York and Lower Manhattan, as well as local shopping corridors like Church Avenue and Kings Highway in Brooklyn. Bids invest over $112 million annually to provide services that address the needs of neighborhoods and build thriving commercial corridors in all 5 boroughs. These services include clean and safe initiatives, marketing, business promotion, visitor services, and streetscape enhancements. Services that create great neighborhoods where New Yorkers can work, live, and play. No other municipality provides the amount of support that New York City does for its bids. whether it's bid formation, technical assistance on retail attraction, capacity building workshops, or challenge grants to spur innovation. At SBS, we work very closely and build strong relationships with each of the city's 69 bids, certainly including the bid leadership here today. Your reach into and knowledge of our city's neighborhoods is a phenomenal asset, and I look forward to working together to strengthen communities across the city. These amendments allow you to better serve your neighborhoods and help the administration advance its goal of ensuring that every entrepreneur and job seeker, no matter where they are from, where they live, or what they look like, has access to the resources they need to succeed. Congratulations to the Alliance for Downtown New York, the Church Avenue bid, and the Kings Highway bid. And thank you for all you do for the city.
Thank you. Now, the council members will be speaking on the next set of bills, and I know we have no individuals signed up for public testimony, so in the interest of efficient government, we're going over to the table. We welcome the bid leaderships to come up and join us. Gather around. You're better with these ceremonies. You know how to go. Okay. It's the signing, I have enough bills I can spread it out. Very easy. You got enough, right? You got enough pens, right? One thing with this. All right, these three bills are now law. Let's congratulate everyone. Well done. All right. It's like NASCAR. Now they're going to move in all sorts of new bills. That's right. See how quickly they can do that while we do this. That's right, they time them. Okay. Excellent. All right. Okay, Mr. Chairman, we're going to, there you go. We already had you in the lineup. We foresaw your presence. Okay. The second set of bills all relate to our green codes. Very important for the future of New York City. All have to do with updating our buildings policy to make the city healthier, more sustainable, and more energy efficient. First, Intro 16A amends the city's administrative code to require that insulation be put into any uninsulated length of pipe that is normally concealed within an existing building's walls, but is exposed as a result of renovation or repair. This is sponsored by Councilmember Levin. The background that many existing buildings have heating and hot water pipes inside walls that are not insulated. By ensuring pipes are insulated whenever possible, a building owner will save money on energy and at the same time have more comfortable interior spaces. Opening walls for the sole purpose of insulating embedded pipes makes little economic sense for the average owner. But if walls are open for other reasons, the cost of insulation is so low that it makes sense to insulate any exposed pipes. Building owners will save money on the heating bill, and the city will see a reduction in air pollution because less oil or natural gas is burned. Insulating cold water pipes will eliminate condensation on pipes and reduce moisture trapped in walls. It will also reduce mold improve indoor air quality, and reduce maintenance costs. There's a lot to like about Intro 16A. The next bill, Intro 93A, sponsored by Councilman Matteo. We thank you. The intro amends the city's building code to require the use of mold-resistant gypsum board or cement board in areas where there is continuous high humidity or direct exposure to water. This is an issue that I've worked on quite a bit, particularly in the aftermath of Sandy, and I think this is a very enlightened piece of legislation to help us get at a problem more fundamentally and more consistently. So I want to thank Councilmember Matteo. The background, the rates of childhood asthma-related emergency department visits were 3 times higher in the poorest neighborhoods of the city than in the wealthiest neighborhoods. And complaints of mold infestations continue to rise. It's impossible to eliminate all mold in our homes and workplaces, but mold growth can be controlled. Cement board has better long-term performance than paper-faced drywall. It does not mold or mildew, and it doesn't physically break down when exposed to water. It's best for use as tile backer in areas like showers and bathtubs. Mold-resistant drywall is water-resistant and can inhibit the growth of mold on its surface. It's better than standard drywall in humid places like laundry rooms, and the adoption of this measure will substantially improve indoor air quality and lead to fewer doctor visits and hospital visits. As an asthmatic myself, I'm happy to say mine is only mild, but I can relate to families faced with asthma and children faced with asthma that anything we can do to reduce the amount of mold is absolutely essential to the families of the city, so we thank you. Now, Intro 203A, sponsored by Councilmember Koo, and we thank you, amends the building code and the fire code to permit limited voluntary use of hold-open devices on stairway access doors in buildings. It will improve accessibility and visibility on stairs and encourage their use. We know that we have a lot of challenges in this city. One of them is the crisis of obesity. We know it's reached epidemic levels in recent years, and more than half of our adults are overweight or obese. 1 in 5 kindergarten students is obese. Overweight or obese people are at higher risk for many chronic diseases, including heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. One small but crucial response is the fact that an individual who climbs 3 to 5 floors of stairs per day has been shown to decrease the risk of stroke. So this legislation does something so simple and fundamental. It promotes stairway use in our city by making stairways more accessible, more visible, and more functional. I think it'll have a great impact on the people of the city. Finally, Intro 263A amends the city's building code to set minimum illumination efficiency standards for temporary construction site lighting. This is sponsored by Councilmember Levin as well. New York City construction sites have commonly been lit with inefficient incandescent bulbs. Temporary construction sites, lights often remain on 24 hours a day for safety reasons. The city's building code does not mandate energy efficiency standards for temporary construction lighting. This legislation would require light bulbs that use 65 to 75% less energy than incandescent lights. And by the way, when you're talking about 24-hour-a-day lighting, that really adds up. And at the same time, they provide the same amount of light and can last up to 10 times longer. Implementing this legislation will yield enormous energy cost savings for building owners while reducing greenhouse gas emissions and improving the city's air quality. A lot of people to thank for all of these bills. I want to thank our Health Commissioner, Dr. Mary Bassett, our Citywide Administrative Services Commissioner, Stacy Cumberbatch, our Acting Buildings Commissioner, Tom Ferriello, our Fire Commissioner, Sal Cassano, our Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability Director, Dan Zerilli, and all of their hard-working staffs who have done so much to get this legislation to this day. Excuse me, and also, of course, thank the City Council for working in partnership with this administration on all of these bills. And to everyone who has supported the process of getting here, many of whom are here today. Let me first bring up Councilmember Koo to speak about his legislation. We'll then hear from Councilmember Matteo and then from Chair Jamani Williams of the Housing and Buildings Committee. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, my colleagues in government, friends, and members of the public. The legislation I sponsor that Mayor de Blasio is going to sign into law today is intended to encourage the use of stairs by making their existence and locations clear, and to protect public safety. These devices will be electronically monitored so that, for example, if smoke is detected in the building, the device would automatically deactivate so that the door is able to close. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator can be a good way for people to stay fit and healthy, and knowing exactly where the stairs are in case of an emergency can save lives. I was pleased to work alongside with Speaker Mark Viverito and Councilmember Williams to pass this bill in the Council. And I'm honored to stand with the Mayor here today as he signs Intro 203 into law. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now, Councilmember Mario.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Who says bipartisan is dead? This is a perfect example of working together as city residents together. I want to thank Chair Williams, Councilmember Koo, the Speaker, the Mayor for his support. As the Mayor said, we had a chance to work together when I was a staffer in the City Council, and the Mayor was public advocate in the aftermath of Sandy. And when we toured the East Shore of Staten Island, you can see residents bringing out the boards that were wet, dripping, and you knew that this wasn't going to be good going forward, and that we had to step up, and we had to put better mold-resistant materials in these houses. And what we're doing today is we're protecting our housing stock. We're making more resilient housing, better buildings in a cost-efficient way, and the most important, it was providing safety for our residents. Mr. Mayor touched base on asthma, and you know, in Staten Island, we have a lot of our children, a lot of our residents who have asthma, and this is going to help them too. And it's a targeted way of keeping our residents safe and moving forward and becoming more resilient in the future. So I want to thank the council and the mayor, and I appreciate it and look forward to you signing the bill.
Thank you very much. Now, Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and my council colleagues and advocates assembled here today. Let me specifically thank Council Members Levin, who I'm sure will be glad to be here. He is chairing a hearing in the city chambers as we speak. Councilman Mario and Koo, for all of your hard work on the green codes bills that we'll expect will be signed into law today. As chair of the Committee on Housing and Buildings, one of my top priorities is to ensure that we adequately maintain and improve our city's rapidly aging infrastructure, along with improving the health and safety of all New Yorkers. And I'm proud to have worked with my colleagues, as well as the Green Codes Task Force, to get this legislation passed. The bills were based on strong recommendations by the City Council's Green Codes Task Force, many of the members who are here today. It was a group composed of industry experts, union representatives, tenant advocates, environmentalists, academics, developers, building owners, and representatives of the city, as well as the mayor's office and the City Council. There were literally dozens and dozens and dozens of bills that were proposed. We culled it down to maybe about 8 or 10, and now we are further down to 4, which really are no-brainers. We still have a long way to go in terms of fixing a lot of the green issues with existing infrastructure and with new infrastructure as it's coming. But I'm very proud that we were able to expedite these Green Codes bills in the Housing Committee, and thank the Speaker for her support in getting it passed. So once again, thank you all, and particularly the Mayor for signing into law today.
Thank you very much. We have 2 individuals who want to testify on the legislation. First, I'd like to call up Matthew Arasich from the Heat and Frost Insulators Local 12. Please, right there. You have to run for office if you want to stand here.
I got the white hair, but that's all I got.
Right, you look the part.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matthew Arasich. It's nice to meet you all. I want to go ahead and thank Councilmember Levin for his introduction of this bill, and the rest of the council members for the support. I also thank the mayor for getting ready to sign this bill into law. One of the things I can tell you is that insulation, mechanical insulation, is one of the misunderstood situations in New York City, and not only just the city, but throughout the country. We don't go ahead and have any kind of standard like European standards. We find that energy is cheap, and it's one of these things that there is no interest in trying to make it more affordable. This is the thing where when we go ahead and insulate these pipes and these walls, we can have significant savings. When you walk out of Grand Central Station, you'll have stuff where people go and think, all of these emissions are coming from cars and trucks. 79% of these emissions are actually coming from buildings. That's the frightening piece. And the whole thing is, we have a system here where in New York City, the steam system doesn't run 6 months or 5 months. It runs all year long. And that's where all the energy savings takes place. Typically, mechanical insulation will go ahead and provide savings in 4 to 6 months. In New York City, it's down to 2 to 3 months. One small tidbit here. If you do an insulation project, which is 45 feet of an 8-inch high-pressure steam line, it saves $13,600 in the course of 1 year. 1 day's work. You never have to touch it again. Over 20 years, that same application will save $272,000. Pretty amazing. What's more amazing, and that's when oil is based at $58 a barrel. When it's $108 a barrel, you're looking at $492,000 savings from one application of 45 feet of steam pipe insulation. How's that for a lot of money saving? Well, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for signing the bill, and thank you all for listening. Thank you.
I've never heard anyone speak with more passion on the topic of insulation. It was not the first time I've heard it from you. You're consistent. One more person who is going to testify is Cecil Scheib of the Urban Green Council.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I've been working on these bills for 5 years, first as a stakeholder on the task force, and now actually working on them at Urban Green. We would like to thank the mayor for his leadership, for his whole time through being on the council and on various committees, and through his campaign, and now, of course, today, his first and hopefully not last signing of various Green Codes bills. Of course, you've heard much already about the benefits of these bills. When I think about how many kids should be exposed to mold in their homes, of course, there's only one answer, which is 0. That's why we support the mold bill. Of course, the STAIR bill is another health bill. And as was already mentioned by the mayor and the council members, even insulation is actually a health issue for our city. When the boilers run less, that means less black smoke in our streets that's causing asthma. And of course, with the construction lighting, I've had experience of buildings that actually used more energy while they were under construction than they did when they're actually occupied and finished, because those lights are so inefficient, and as the mayor said, run round the clock. So we are very grateful these bills are going to help meet the mayor's carbon reduction goals, as well as make all New Yorkers safer and more healthy. Thanks to the mayor, thanks to the speaker and the council, to the bill's sponsors, and of course to Chair Williams for his leadership, and we look forward to working with you on the rest of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I want to amplify my thanks to Speaker Mark Viverito and the entire council for moving all of these pieces of legislation, all of which will be important for the future of the city. Quick word in Spanish before I sign these bills. En el día de hoy estoy firmando legislación que apoyará a nuestros negocios y hará que nuestros edificios sean más sostenibles y respetuosos del medio ambiente. With that, let us sign the legislation. Come over. Gather around all those who did hard work on this. All right. Give me my count so I know how many pens I'm using here. What we got? 4. 1 pen. Okay. Numbers adding up. I'll use them all then. Okay. These bills are now law. I congratulate everyone involved. All right, 7 pieces of legislation. Not bad for a day's work. Yes. Yes, we do. All right. We're going to go to questions on anything, Phil? All right. Questions on any and all topics. Fire away. Jonathan.
Mr. Mayor, in a magazine piece that's published last night online, your wife speaks about some of the challenges she faced as a new mother. I wanted to get your thoughts on her comments, but also how they were categorized in today's newspapers, which included one article that said they were, quote, bound to horrify most moms.
The whole situation of how the newspapers handle this is very disturbing and inappropriate. Someone got a electronic device there. Is that you, Dave?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to turn this off. This is so embarrassing, sorry.
You want someone under 30 to help you?
Sorry.
All right. So as I say, I think it's deeply disturbing. I think it was inappropriate. It really suggests a tremendous misunderstanding of what it is to be a parent, what it is to be a mother. I love my wife very deeply. She is an extraordinary mother. She always has been. She very much wanted to have children, which is evident in the New York Magazine article, if anyone cares to read it and not caricature it. I, over the years, have marveled at her ability to take care of our 2 kids with such love while having to do, in the middle of all that, the incredibly difficult work of helping both our mothers as they came to the ends of their lives, while oftentimes having to have a full-time job. I think a lot of women are offended. A lot of hardworking women in this city are offended. I think both the Post and the Daily News owe Shirlane an apology. I think they owe all of us an apology for absolutely misrepresenting what she said and for caricaturing, you know, a reality that I think so many women face. And it's very troubling to me, and, you know, I think a lot of people in this town today are troubled by it. Other questions?
Expand on your concerns with the 911 system, where we stand now, and what it's going to mean for taxpayers going forward.
The more we looked at the 911 situation, the more troubled we got. And I want to particularly thank my first deputy mayor, Tony Shorus, who did a really exhaustive review of the situation. And I share with him a sense of being also very troubled at how that contract had proceeded. I think there were a lot of warning signs over the years that weren't heeded, and it is now time to do a full review. And so we've brought this project to a dead stop. We're not going to run the risk of wasting more taxpayer dollars or continuing down a road that may not work. The cost overruns alone suggest that something is fundamentally wrong. Deputy Mayor Shorus and his team, along with Commissioner Bratton and incoming Commissioner Nigro, are all going to be focused on the kind of changes we need to make. Obviously, the lead in this will be our new DUIC Commissioner, Ann Roast, who is renowned for her ability to make government information systems work, and particularly for the work she's done in the areas of public safety. I think this required a top-to-bottom review. And as you know, the Department of Investigation will be involved as well. So it's clear that this needs to be looked at very, very carefully. Jillian?
I was hoping to get your thoughts on the shuffling of President Obama's cabinet, moving Sean Donovan out of the HUD secretary position. Obviously, that's an office that the city has had to work very closely with in regards to Hurricane Sandy funding. What do you think this means going forward for the ongoing discussion of how much we'll get?
I think Secretary Donovan's done an extraordinary job at HUD. He happens to be a personal friend. I've known him for many years, going back to the time that he and I both worked at HUD under Secretary Cuomo. I think he's done an extraordinary job, and I think he's been very attentive to the needs of this city and this region. And I believe that we're all working, in earnest to try and resolve the outstanding issues around Sandy. I think as much as we deeply have appreciated the relationship with him as HUD Secretary, I think he'll be doing a lot for this country and also for all of us here as OMB Director. So we're not losing a friend. He's just moving to another role, and it's a rather important role for this country. Rich?
Mayor, if we go back to the 911 system again, the average New Yorker, what does this mean to the average New Yorker, what you've done now, and should they worry about, calling that system and having a reserve?
No, I think, let's be clear, what had become clear over time was that to the extent any change was going to happen, it was not only a couple of years in the future, it could be many years in the future. And in the meantime, there have been huge cost overruns. So the first thing that people should realize is that our existing 911 system, we are working all the time to make sure it's well managed and effective. This was really about, in theory, making the system more sophisticated, creating more redundancy, creating more integration between the different agencies. In fact, what we found was massive cost overruns, which were absolutely against the interest of the taxpayers, and no real progress on the actual stated goal. It appeared that it would be well into this decade before we would see any result. So I think we all came to the conclusion that this was out of control, it had to be stopped, and it needed a thorough review, and then we'll have an idea of what it will take to actually modernize this in a believable way and a cost-efficient way. Sally?
The members of the UFT are now voting by paper ballot on their contract, and a number of them feel that they don't have enough information or enough specific information about the pay raises, about the health insurance, to make a sound judgment. Do you think that they've been given proper information?
I do. I'm surprised to hear that because I think there's been a lot of information that we've put out. I certainly had the impression that the union had put out a lot of information. I think the issues of greatest concern to all city employees have been clarification on how we could get a contract, a long-term contract that people could rely on, deal with whatever was reachable in terms of the pay from the past. And I think I've talked to a lot of city employees. They do care deeply about the fiscal health of the city going forward for everyone's sake. And the fact that this contract allows us to finally stabilize the city's finances is something I think a lot of people understand and appreciate. So I feel like a lot of details are out there. Obviously, when it comes to healthcare savings, the amount is there very clearly. The menu of options of what will get us there is clearly available. And yes, there is an arbitrator process, but I think it's abundantly clear those healthcare savings are needed, and we're going about it in a fair manner that includes the involvement of the union.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.